Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Guys, tell me how you're doing in the comments. I hope everybody is well and happy and doing the best they can. So getting right into the video, I'm going to be talking about spring summer 2025, giving you a full review as quickly as I can. One note I do have is that overall, you guys, spring summer 25 was a little underwhelming for me. I think because, you know, the state of the world, I always like to preface this, and I actually wrote a 15-page paper on this, and the paper was titled Fashion as Art, because I do think that fashion is an art form and can be a very notable, credible art form. But the trick is, if we're going to be at least spending all this money on fashion, I feel in order for it not to be wasteful, that we must remember the artful nature of it and to like tell a story, because without that, you know, it does feel very empty. So as much as I love talking about fashion, I do always like to keep that in mind. So anyway, let's just get right into it. So first, I'm gonna start off with vetements. Creative director of vetements right now is brothers with the creative director of Balenciaga. So a lot of people were saying that this show felt like a Balenciaga dupe. I feel like that is why there were a lot of similarities, but overall I did really enjoy the show. It gave me true vetements. There were some pieces that I really liked. Of course, the highlight was Anak closing that show. Her shoe kept, you know, messing up her walk, and like the true professional and supermodel that she is, she turned this into like a runaway bride moment, which was just like so McQueen of her. It really made this show feel alive. Such a wise choice, because what supermodel wants to be, you know, clunking over her shoes? And we all know she can walk, but for her to do that, absolutely fabulous. I love seeing Law Roach on this runway. I love seeing there was a pregnant woman with her belly showing. I love seeing things like that on a runway. So I was fine with the show. I think it was cute. Only thing I would take away, I do not want to see male rappers on a runway. No shade, no shade, no shade. So without being rude, I'm not going to mention any names, but I feel like that just makes it like, I don't know, cheesy. I don't know. I don't want to see a male rapper clunking down the runway. So overall, the show was fine. It was cute. Loewe, my note was I felt nothing, which was very shocking, because Loewe, as far as like their ad game, like even on TikTok, their campaigns, I'm always checking for Loewe, but the show, I mean, I wrote in my notes I felt nothing, and then recalling the show off memory, I'm not quite feeling anything either. Yeah, Vivienne Westwood. My notes was Irina closing in the white pantsuit was the highlight for me. Vivienne, I liked it. It was cute. Again, you know, a little underwhelming. I think it was a little redundant and just like super, super, super plain, especially for a name like Vivienne. I don't know. And I know it's hard to kind of carry on the legacy of some of these brands after, like, you know, like Vivienne herself is no longer with us, may she rest, but we want to keep these houses and these brands alive, right? Right. Okay, so let's try to do that. Moving on. Oh, Balenciaga. I didn't talk about Balenciaga. So yes, Demna, the creative director of Balenciaga. Like I said, he is brothers with Galam, who's creative director of vetements. They started together, blah, blah, blah. I feel like there's some family drama going on. None of my business, but these two, they both love shoulders. The accentuation of like shoulders and like shoulder pads, I guess a nod to the 80s, which is really big throughout all of the brands. I just wrote shoulders, like I love the soundtrack. Balenciaga did a great job of using the music. I feel like music in a show can completely transform how we're like taking in the show and feeling the theme. It was basically a remix of Toxic. You guys know I love Britney Spears, and it was like this techno-y Britney mix, which I feel like just did it for me for the clothing. I actually did really enjoy watching this show. Some of the standout pieces, and I like seeing things that I feel like I have not seen in a while, or I have not seen at all. One of the things I really liked was in the front of a lot of these looks, it was very just like tailored, you know, structured. In the back was like a tie-up that went from the shoulders all the way down. Like it was a tie back that just went all the way down to the top and the pants. I freaking loved that, and I thought it was so original. So kudos to Demna for that. Stella McCartney. I like this show a lot too, you guys. A very wearable show. And I appreciate about Stella McCartney, sometimes brands just do things just for shock, just to like shock you on the runway. And sometimes that's not needed. And like Stella, where that's not even like their brand's core foundation, they just make, can I talk right now? They just make really good clothing, and I think they did just that. I was really like, of all the shows, this was the show I was like, oh, I would wear that. Oh, I would wear that. We have to remember sometimes, you know, doing things just for a shock and just making things just because it's like, oh, you know, I really admire brands that are doing things like for the longevity of it and making clothes that people can actually wear, because that is the intention of clothing, right? So I like that. And Amelia Gray, I must say, has a great walk. I know that girl gets a lot of hate. We do not do hate on my channel. That girl can walk. So that's all I'll say. Every time I'm seeing her, I'm like, she has a great walk. So shout out to the Stella show. Very wearable. I enjoyed it. They did this show in Paris at Disneyland Paris. What a great backdrop. Again, I haven't seen that before, so that really excited me to see a show being done in Disneyland Paris. I love Disneyland. I had my 16th birthday at Disneyland. Instead of having a party, I went to Disneyland with my best friend because I was a Disney teenager and I'm like kind of a Disney adult. Like I said, like with Balenciaga, they did a great soundtrack which elevated the collection. If the soundtrack was not good, I probably would have liked the show less. This is where, is it Coperni or Coperni? I think it's Coperni. They should have really, and a lot of people said this in like the comments and different rhetoric, is that they should have really did music that was kind of like Disney, Sleeping Beauty, maybe ballet, Swan Lake, something that just enhanced the fact that you guys are in Disneyland Paris. I feel like it really would have elevated the collection and the whole theme and the world. Like when I see a fashion show, I want to be in your world. So a missed opportunity there for me of not having like that Disney princessy music. Why not? They did it a little bit, but I felt like the whole theme, take me to Disney. And this show, the only thing I would change, I think they did some shirts that just had like the Bambi theme and just like some Disney merch like logo. I could have done without that, but they also did some things I like there were like little tube dresses with like really long sleeves that gave me kind of like a modern princess vibe. They played on, like they did some fun like pants wear moments that I thought was really fun. And then Kylie Jenner closed the show. Kylie, I don't know, is her sister shaking because she did that? No, Kylie closed the show and she did look great. So the girl has, you know, she has the essence of being in the fashion industry. She looked great walking. I was here for it. That was what I would change, the music. Other than that, the show was okay. There were some standout pieces. I think people were kind of judging the show a little harshly. Schiaparelli. and we have Daniel Roseberry as the creative director. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't in love with the Schiaparelli show. It wasn't really standing out to me, but I did love the casting. Joanna Lima was on this runway, Candace was on this runway, so it was great to see these girls. And I normally really love Schiaparelli, so yeah, this show was okay to me, but it was still very high quality, which I can appreciate. I guess I'm just judging the show based on like Schiaparelli standards, but what do you guys think? I thought it was okay. Chanel. Why do I even bother watching a Chanel fashion show at this point? It's literally so boring. You guys, I cannot. I don't even have any review because I skipped through the show because I'm just like, okay, more tweed, more white cages, just more white people. I don't know. It's just like Chanel. These houses that have such a legendary name in fashion need to stop relying on the fact that, you know, it's Chanel. I think the people coming to the show looked more fabulous than the clothing. It's really a shame because, like I said, so much money goes into these shows. You know, make it artful, make it intentional if we're going to be, you know, interacting with these things, because when it's not, it feels like a huge waste. So Chanel was a flop for me. Similarly, Dior was a flop for me. There was an archer in this Dior show, so I guess the theme was archery? Question mark, question mark? I don't know what the theme was. I don't know what the inspo was. But there was an archer that opened the show. I did think that was pretty cool and interesting. It was probably the coolest thing about the show because these girls were in Dior tracksuits. Naughty, naughty Dior. So Chanel, Dior, it's a chop. Again, I skipped through the show. Boring me to death. I can't sit there for 20 minutes and be that bored. Again, I think Dior is riding on the name. It's Dior, it's Chanel. We don't want to see it. D for don't do it again. It's a chop. Prada. I enjoyed the styling of this Prada show. There were a lot of unique things Prada was doing. Again, things I have not seen before, like the accessories of this show. They had really cool hats that were also functioning as sunglasses, and it did just feel like true Prada. And I do appreciate when a brand just stays really true and authentic to the brand's core values. I do feel like if this was like your first fashion show you ever saw and didn't really know the heritage of Prada, probably may feel like it felt messy and like there was a lot going on. But I did appreciate this Prada show. It definitely felt like true Prada. The only thing I would change is maybe like the runway. So I just think maybe if the casting was a little more elevated and diverse, and maybe if there was a different location, this show could have really been taken fully to the top. But I do think if this was like your first fashion show you ever saw, you'd be like digesting it, you'd probably be like, what the fuck with that? But I enjoyed it as a connoisseur of Prada. I feel the same about miumiu. I enjoyed this miumiu show. miumiu is going back to like this traditional like kooky miumiu girl that like miumiu has always been. Like miumiu has kind of always been a brand up until recently with spring summer 2022, where we had the infamous like head to toe looks, and that's that classic preppy miumiu that kind of just got pushed out for all the it girls, which we love. This miumiu show is kind of like reverbing what this new miumiu girl is, and kind of going back to some of those older kooky ethics of miumiu. And like, you know, she's mismatched. She's not wearing like, everything's not one color, everything's not all black. So that was the vibe that this miumiu show was giving me for sure. So I appreciated that. Again, if this would be your first show you're ever watching, I feel like people would be like, what's going on? And I definitely could have did without some of the things, but I overall think this just felt like true miumiu, and I love when a brand can do that. I also really love the shoes of this show. with like the socks. So the accessories for this show was I really enjoyed. The final show that I'll talk about that was my absolute favorite was the Alaia show. I think this was one of the only shows, if not the only show, that Rihanna, I saw she was in attendance at. This show was in New York. So that's already good juju right there to bring Riri out. You know it's finna be tea. This show was at the Guggenheim, which I already think is like the perfect runway. I don't know if anyone else has done a fashion show at the Guggenheim. I know Solange has done performances there. Oh, did I say the brand? Alaia. Alaia at the Guggenheim. You guys, this was my favorite show. This is how you do a fashion show. It was not wasteful. It was very intentional. The clothing, the casting, the room, all of the models coming down from the very top of the Guggenheim, which is circular and it goes all the way down to the bottom, walking all the way down until they get to the bottom where everyone is sitting. But I don't know, the tube tops, they had fun accessories. I love a good accessory. They had some accessories that were like an earring necklace that went from here all the way down and then hooked back on this other ear. I don't know, this collection just really gave me a feeling that I really enjoyed, and Alaia is just so classic and chic and effortless, but still like opulent, and that's what this collection gave me. It was my absolute favorite. I give it an A+. Out of all of the collections, I have no notes. I think it was a fabulous show. So yeah, you guys, I am going to leave you with that. But I love you guys anyway. Tell me what you think of spring summer 2025. Was it a hit or miss for you? Let me know in the comments. I love you guys so much, and please let me know what type of content you want to see, what you're into, what you're feeling. I love you guys.